All right, please let me know. Should I introduce myself or how do we do this?
So all yours, go for it.
Sorry?
The floor is yours. Go for it.
Okay, okay. All right, so I will just start then. Hello, I am Victor Paredes. I am an animator and rigger. I normally work at Cartoon Saloon, but I also am the product manager of Mojo Animation Software. So in this workshop, I want to show you how to work with this software and how easy to is to create animation with it, and how you could create your own character, import it into the software, and animate the character there. So I will start sharing my screen here. If you have any question, if you have any comment, please let me know. You can use the chat, or I don't know, you can turn on your microphone and just talk, I guess. I hope that will work too. But whatever that could make me feel less lonely will be nice. All right. So thank you very much for being here too. Um, First, I want to show you some tabs here. Oh, thank you. So the last movie I worked in is My Father's Dragon. I don't know if you have seen that before. It's on Netflix. It's a very nice film. If you haven't and you have Netflix, please check it. So we used Mojo. We used the software a lot in this movie. I had the luck to be supervisor for rigged animation in that movie. In the past, I have worked in Wolf Walkers. I don't know if you have seen that one too. This one was nominated to the Oscars. It's a very nice movie too. You can watch it in um, Apple TV, I think. And the last production I worked on is the Puffin Rock movie, which it says Netflix there, but it won't be on Netflix. I don't know in what platform it will be, but at some point it will be released and you will be able to watch it. So this is part of what I have worked on. But currently, I'm mostly working on the development of this software. So it's about how to develop tools, how to create a software that makes easier to create animation. That's the idea. And let me just introduce this character so you can understand a little bit what about how Mojo works. I will give you the files that I show here, so don't worry about that. I will send you a link so you can download the files and you can download the demo of the software and you can test and play with them. All right. So here's a character made in Mojo, and you can see here this character has a skeleton. All these lines, these triangles, are the skeletons we use to move the character. So you can see I can move the legs, I can bend it, and we have special controllers also to simulate 3D rotation, for instance. So with this bone here, I can simulate a rotation of the head with this character. With this bone here, I can open and close the mouth. I can make it blink. I can move the eyes, and I can combine all of them together. So basically what you create with this software is a puppet that you can animate. All right. So let's start with the files I have for you. So the first thing, I think the easiest way to start working with Mojo is to create your character in Photoshop or in any other software in which you can paint, or you can also draw it on paper, scan it, and then cut it in different pieces. In Photoshop, GIMP, I don't know, Clip Studio, Krita. There are many software there. You have some free options like Krita and GIMP, for instance, so you can use that. In this case, I'm using Photoshop here, but you can use whatever you want here. So I have a very simple character. This is an illustration made by Alfredo Cáceres, and you can see here that it is separated in 3 layers. So we have the main body here, we have one fin, and we have the other fin. So that's it. That is the Photoshop file for now. It's a very simple one, and we are going to start with this. So basically, if you create your own character, you need to separate it in different layers. For instance, you separate the arm in a different layer, the other arm in another, the legs in different layers, the head in another, maybe the eyes in different layers too. So you start to separate the character that way. So that makes it easier to animate later. Another thing that is important, and you can see it here in this character, is that, for instance, the fin of the original illustration here, I have the fin, and it ends here next to this part of the whale. I don't know how to call it, but I still have some extra material around here. You can see, and I painted that also because just in case the fin moves, or maybe if it rotates, it could be that that part will be visible during the animation. So it's better to have like that extra material painted, okay, in order to animate this. All right, so I will just close this now, and I will open Moho. Okay, so, and what I can do is I can create a new file in Moho. So this is the interface in Moho. I will show you how to use different parts of the interface. Don't worry, it can look a bit overwhelming, but we are going to use a few windows, a few buttons, and it's all. I will try to keep everything simple for you. All right. So what I am going to do is I will take the file of the whale. This is the Photoshop file of the whale. I have it here, and I will simply drag it over Moho. So if I release this file, you can see Moho asks me if I want to import the layers of this file individually. That's it, one image for each layer. Or if I want to import it as a composite, that means that the entire image will become only one layer. For this case, I want to import this individually. So I will press here, and you can see here how the 3 layers that were in Photoshop, now they are in Moho. Okay, so we have real-time connection between the Photoshop file and Moho. All right. So now I will select the group. You can see this. I don't know. Let me see if I can zoom in. So you can see all these 3 layers are inside of a group here. So I can simply select the group, and now I will go to the transform layer tool, which is this one here, and I will make this layer smaller so it can fit the size of the screen. This blue rectangle here is the screen, is the size of your video. So I wanted to fit inside of that. All right. So now what I want to do is I show you that we can create the skeletons here. Please, again, if you have any questions or any comments or any feedback, let me know wherever the comments are. I think I have it open, so I should be reading all that. Anyway, what we are going to do here is to create a skeleton for this whale. So to do that, I'm going to go to the folder here, all right? And I will right click the folder, it's a group, and I will select convert to bone, okay? So now you can see that this folder has a bone icon there. That means that I can add bones to this, all right? Sorry, someone has the microphone on and I can hear some noise. Can you check that please? If you can mute yourself. Thank you very much. All right. So now I'm going to start adding bones. All right. So let me do it very quickly. So now I have this bone layer selected. Okay. So the group is now a bone, and you can see here in the toolbar that now I have some bone tools. So I have this add bone tool, which is this bone with a plus symbol. All right. So I will just select this tool, and now I drag the mouse and I will create a bone. So now you can see I created this red bone here, and I will continue dragging, and I can create, let's say, 5 bones here. So now I have some bones here, and what I can do with these bones is I can test them. So with this tool here, which is called manipulate bone, this one, I can test how those bones are working. So I can simply drag these bones, and you can see I am bending the whale already. So I know this is not a great puppet yet, but look how beautiful it can look. All right. So this is the basic idea of adding bones. So you just add bones, and those bones can bend the image. All right. But now we want to animate the fins also, right? So I will continue adding bones with the add bone tool here. Okay, so I select the add bone tool again, and I will add a couple bones for one fin and a couple bones for the other fin. Okay, so now I test them again with the manipulate bone tool. I'm just selecting all these tools here, right? So you can see the manipulate bone tool here. And now I can bend my character, but I can move also the fins. But it is not really working well. There are some issues in what I just did. And you can see that if I move one fin, the other is also moving. And it's distorting the entire drawing. And that shouldn't be happening, right? Because when you move one arm, that is that shouldn't move the other arm. Sorry, Jaden is saying I am glitching. Is everyone seeing some problem with the screen? Can you see my screen properly, or can you hear me well? You can see and you can hear me. Okay, or is it myself glitching? What is the comment? I don't know. Audio is good. Okay, super. I will believe. Okay, I will believe everyone that it's saying it's good, and I won't believe anyone that's saying it's not good. That's it. Sorry. All right, so we have this problem. So when I move one fin, it's moving the other fin, and actually, if I move, I will decline this. Some people is asking me to follow them, and no, please don't invite me to those things. It distracts me. So even if I move this bone, you can see how the fins are moving when I am moving this bone at the tip. Okay, I'm sorry, Jaden. It's you. Maybe you can try to log in again. I don't know, or maybe someone can help you there. But anyway, this is a problem, and this is happening because the bones, they have a hierarchy. Okay, and I want to show you how that hierarchy works. To do that, I will just create a new file, and in this new file, I will create a new bone layer. Okay, so here. Okay, and I will just create, let's suppose I'm drawing a human now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let's say I will add the body here, and then I will add the head, and then I will add one arm, and then another arm. All right, so this is the body of my character. Of course, I didn't draw anything, but imagine there is a character here. Okay, but now if I test my character, I can move the entire body, I can move one of the arms, but if I move the second arm, you can see the other arm is also moving. And actually, if I move the head is also moving the arms. And that shouldn't be happening because we don't want the head to control the arms, right? That is not right. So let me show you how it works. I will just delete all these bones for now, and I will start again. So when I add one bone, you can see this bone is red, okay? So when a bone is red, it means that the next bone I create will be child of the red bone. All right, so I created, for instance, the body, and now I will create the head. And you can see that now the head is red, okay? And that means that if I create another bone now, that new bone will be child of the head. But I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is, with the select bone tool here, I will select the bone of the chest here. And now you can see when I select it, it is red now. So that means that now I can go back to the add bone tool here. And now I can add the bone for the arm. And now the arm is child of the chest. It's not child of the head. And again, now you can see the arm, this arm is red now. So if I create the next arm, that arm is going to be child of this one. And I don't want that. So again, I will go to the select bone tool, select this bone, and now go back to the add bone tool, and now create the other arm. So now if I test this with the manipulate bone tool, you can see I can move the head, I can move the body, and I can move each arm separated. All right, so now the hierarchy is working well. All right. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. So now I'm going to come back to the whale, And I will start again. So with the select bone tool, I will select all the bones and I will press delete on the keyboard because I want to remove all the bones that I created. And now I will start again. And this time I will do it a bit different. I will start by the head. So let's suppose I want to create a big bone for the entire head there. And now child of the head, I will start with the tail here and add one bone here, another bone here, let's say one here, another one here, and now for the tail I will add one bone here. Now select the bone of the tail, this one, because the next one I want it to be child of that. All right. And now if I want to add bones to the fins, I want the fins to be child of this bone here in the middle. So I will select that bone. So you can see it is red. And now I will add a couple bones here. Select this one again and add a couple bones here. All right. So now the skeleton should be working fine. So now if I test it, you can see if I move the head, the entire body is moving because the head is like the main parent of the skeleton. If I move this bone in the middle, you can see the fins are moving. And here I can move the tail and everything is working better actually. And I can move the tail a little bit. Okay, but now if I move the fin, you can see it is distorting the body. It shouldn't be doing that, right? Because this bone should move only the flesh of the fin, not the flesh of the rest of the body. And the same happens with this. And this is happening because you can see each bone has an oval around. That oval is the strength of the bone. So the bigger that oval it is, the more pixels it will take, the more image it will distort. All right. So what I can do is I have this tool here, and you can see it's this bone with an oval here. And with this one, I can drag on each bone to increase or decrease the strength. So I'm just dragging from right to left or from left to right. All right. So I'm just doing that. And by doing that, I can change how much influence each bone has for the body. All right. So I can play with that. But even then, if I test it again, this is still happening. All right. So there is another way to fix it. I mean, you can combine both actually. And this way is that we are going to assign specific bones to specific images. All right. So let me just select one of the images. I will select the fin here. So you can see I'm just selecting this layer, right? You can see it's selected here. And with this layer selected, I'm going to use the select bone tool, and I will select the bones of the fin. So I will select this bone and then I will hold shift on the keyboard and select the other bone. So you can see I have these two bones selected that are the two bones that should be moving the fin. So once I have that selected, I can go to the bone menu here at the top, and I can go to this menu that is called use selected bones for flexi binding. And with this menu, I will tell the software, okay, this image is only going to move with these two bones. Okay, it will ignore all the other bones. It's only going to move with these two bones. So I click here, and now you can see the bones are like bold, and that means that the fin is only moving with those bones. So I will do the same for the other layer. This is the body layer. So I will select all the bones of the body. So I will select this, and then I will press shift and select all the rest. So you can see all these red bones are selected, and I will go again to the menu and use selected bones for flexi binding. If you like to use shortcuts, you can press Ctrl Shift F, and that will assign. So now I'm telling the software, okay, this layer will move only with those bones. It will ignore any other movement of the bones. All right. And finally, I will do the same with the other fin. So I will select these two bones. I selected the layer, and now I selected the two bones, and now I will press the shortcut to Ctrl Shift F, and now you can see these two bones are moving the fin now. All right. So now if I test this, I go back to, I select the bone layer again, and I go back to the manipulate bone tool. And you can see how this is moving well now. It's much nicer than before. All right. So you can see how the hierarchy and the strength of the bones is actually working. So now let's create some animation with this. All right. Again, if you have any questions or comments, or you want to say that this is glitching or whatever, you can say it in the chat, or you can continue sending emojis and stuff. That's okay too. All right. So now let's create some, perfect. Thank you. Let's create some animation with this. So this is the timeline. All right. So all this rectangle here, this is the timeline. This is where you animate the stuff. Okay. So far we have been working on frame 0. If you go here, sorry. Yeah. If you go here, you can see that this cursor, I can move it, and it is on frame 0. Frame 0 is where you build your character. So when we are adding bones, when we are drawing or doing anything, we are always on frame 0. Yeah, the software is called Moho. You can check more information in mohoanimation.com. And you can also there, if you want, you can download the demo of the software, and I will send you also the files that we are working with, so you can actually, let me send you that link now. So I will copy the Dropbox link here. So this is a zip file that contains all the files that I will show in this class, so you can play with them too. All right, you just open the Moho file there. But don't go there yet. Look at the script for now, because I want to teach you how to animate with this. All right. So we have the timeline here. So I told you, when we are building the character, we are building it on frame 0. But if we want to animate it, we go beyond frame 0. So for instance, if I move this and I go to frame 24, frame 24 is 1 second in animation. You know, like an animation is 24 drawings per second. That is normally what how you animate. So if you go to frame 24, that is 1 second. And for instance, with the manipulate bone tool now, if I move this character, I already created an animation here. So you can see, if I check this character is moving from left to right because I created that animation. And I can continue animating this, maybe bend the tail here, so you can see how this is working. So now I have that animation. All right, and you can see that every time I manipulate the character, new dots appear here. I will zoom in the timeline so you can see these dots here. These are called keyframes, and these are basically, every time I move something, it will create a new keyframe. This is how it is marked that this character is animated. All right, and you can see there are a red timeline here. Let me just zoom in here. You can see there are some red timeline and some white timeline here. Okay, so now let me just open a new file to show you how this works. So let's suppose I have 2 bones. All right, and let's say I will rotate the first bone on frame 12, and I will rotate the second bone on frame 24. All right, and now if I check that animation, you will see that the first bone is moving from frame 0 to frame 12, but the second bone here is moving from frame 0 to frame 24. All right, and the way Moho shows you that is just, if you see here, we have the red timeline and we have the white timeline, and it's the same channel. It's the bone rotation. You can see the icon here is the bone rotation channel. The red timeline shows you where is the movement of the selected bone happening. The selected bone is red, so you know that the movement of the selected bone is here in the red timeline. So here you can see that the first position happens on frame 0, and the last one happens on frame 24. Okay, so that is what is happening with this selected bone. Now, if I select the other bone, you can see that in the red line it shows, okay, the other bone goes from frame 0 to frame 12. Okay, so it is showing me how long is the animation of each individual bone, right? So, and I can modify that. I can make the movement shorter or longer. And you can see I am modifying the animation only of the selected bone. Now, the white timeline, it shows me all the keyframes of all the bones. So it is like a general view of all the bones. I can have 100 bones animated to different places, and the timeline on white, it will show me the entire, all the keyframes of all those bones. So normally when we are animating some detail, we use the red timeline. Okay, so if you want to animate something very specific about one bone, you animate the red timeline. And if you want to animate the general character, the entire character, then you modify the white timeline, because then you are moving the entire animation around. Okay, and now this is happening with rotation, but you can also move the bones. So if I use this bone, we have here the transform bone tool. Okay, with this tool you can rotate the bones. If you drag it from the middle, if you drag it, you see there is a little dot here at the bottom. Okay, if you drag the bone from that dot, you are moving the entire bone. And if I move this bone, you can see there is a new channel here. And this is the translation channel. Okay, so that it works exactly as the other channel, but it means that the entire bone is moving. It's not rotating, it's moving. Okay, and the translation channel also has a red channel and a white channel. So you have like the specific movement or the general movement of the character. And you can see here that there is another dot at the top of the bone. And if I drag that one, I will scale the bone. Okay, and if I scale the bone, I'm dragging left or right here, you can see there is a new channel here, which is the scale bone channel. All right, so you have these three ways to move the bone. You can rotate it, you can translate it, or you can scale it. Okay, and all of them have their own timeline that you can modify. All right, and this is applied to several different channels. So when you are working with bones, normally you are working with these three channels, but if you are working with any other thing like a layer, like a vector drawing or anything else, you have other channels. But this is, in general, this is how Moho works for animation. All right, so now I will remove this animation I created for the whale. So let's apply this principle for the whale. So let's I will rotate first. Let's say I will rotate this bone up. Then this is happening on frame 6. Then maybe on frame 9 I will rotate this bone up, and then maybe on frame 15 I will rotate this one, and then on frame 18 I will rotate the other one. So you can see every bone is rotating at a different time. So now we have that movement, and since the bones are rotating at different times, you have like this fluid kind of movement where not everything is happening at the same time. So this is very useful when you are animating, especially like things from the nature, like plants or ropes or anything that has like a wavy movement. You can move stuff at different times. Again, if you have any questions, or if there is anything that is not clear, or if you want to leave any emoji, I think any reaction here, you can do it. I think there are only positive reactions, but maybe you can find like negative reactions if you want to react negatively. That's okay. All right, so let me show you something else here. This is something I really like to do when I am animating. Let's suppose we want to animate the whale swimming. Okay, so we want to create the movement of the whale swimming, like moving the tail like that, like swimming. So what I'm going to do is I will rotate the tail up. So I will rotate all the bones of the tail up. I am on frame 1, so I'm rotating everything on frame 1. Perfect. That's so many reactions. Thank you very much. So you see in frame 1, everything is rotating up. Okay. Now I will go to frame 13, which is around of half a second, and I will rotate everything down. So down, 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 down. Okay. So if you see, I have that movement. And now on frame 25, hello, King of Ohio. Thank you for all the reactions. So now on frame 25, I will copy all these keyframes. So everything I rotated here on frame 1, I will just select it and I will go to edit, copy, okay, or Control C if you are using the keyboard. And now I will go to frame 25 and I will go to edit, paste, or Control V. So now I have this movement, like the tail going up, down, and then up again. All right. But now, since I want this whale to swim, I want to create a cycle with, hello, hello. I want to create a cycle of this movement. So what I'm going to do to create a cycle is I will right click on the white timeline. I will right click the last keyframe here and I will select cycle. Thank you very much. I will select cycle here. All right. So I just right click on the last keyframe. And now you can see in the timeline, I have a cycle. Okay. And a cycle is an arrow that shows me, okay, this animation is going back to this frame. So it's basically a cycle that will go forever back to that frame. So if I look at the timeline now, you can see this is moving forever in that way. So I don't need to add more keyframes because I'm just cycling whatever I created, okay? But now, when I created the cycle, this window appeared here, okay? So if you look at this window, this is a bit tricky, but I will try to explain it in a simple way. We have two kinds of cycles. We have the absolute cycle, and that means that you can with an absolute cycle, I can tell the software, okay, you always go back to frame 2. Doesn't matter where the keyframe is, always go back to frame 2. Okay. So when I have this kind of cycle, if I move this keyframe, you see, it doesn't matter where I move it, the cycle will always go back to frame 2. It's always pointing here. All right. Let me just undo that. And now we have another kind of cycle here that is called relative. Okay. And I can select that one. And in this case, the relative, what you are telling the software is that instead of going back right to frame 2, I will tell you, okay, go back 23 frames. So what the software will do is from here, it will count 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 23, and it will go back to 23. Okay. So that is a relative cycle. It looks the same at the moment, but if I move it, you can see how the cycle also moves. All right. So now the cycle is not always pointing to frame 2, it's pointing always always back 23 frames. Okay. So I will just put it back here, and this doesn't look useful for now, but I will show you why it is useful and why I really love it. So with this, what I can do is, the movement started with this bone. So this bone is rotating up. And remember that I told you that if things don't move at the same time, it looks more fluid, because especially in natural movements, not every bone is moving at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I will select all the other bones, but not the first one. So I'm not selecting the first one, only all the other ones with the select bone tool. and I will select the keyframes of the selected bones. You remember that in the red timeline, I am only seeing the selected bones, and I will move the cycle to happen a bit later for all these bones. So all these bones are moving after the first bone. So now if I test my animation, it's not perfect yet, but you can see how it has more like a wave movement, right? And now I can continue. Now I can select all the bones, but I won't select the first and the second one, okay? So now with these bones selected, I will move them a little bit further. And now we have that movement. So you can see, and maybe I can move it a little bit more. You can see how it is waving. So it looks more natural, I hope. Okay, and now I will continue. So now I will select all the bones, but not the first, the second, or the third. And I will move the cycle a little bit later. So now we have that. Maybe that is too much. Yeah, so we have that. So now we have a cycle, but now not everything is looking at is moving at the same time. Things are moving at different times. The bones are delayed, and we can create also a cycle for the movement of the head. Okay, because when a fish is swimming, it doesn't only move the tail, it also moves the entire body up and down. Okay, so we are going to do that, and we are going to create a cycle for that. So let's suppose I will just take the bone of the head and I will drag it from this point down, and then in frame 13 it will go up, and then in frame 25 I will copy the first keyframe here, copy and paste, and now I will create a cycle. So I will right click the last keyframe here, create a cycle, a relative cycle, and now we have that. And I can, for instance, this is not working very well at the moment, so I can try with a different position for this cycle to see if that works better. I think I like this more. So now you can see the whale is going up and down, and it's moving also the tail. All right, and the animation looks a bit more professional, but actually we haven't done much, really. It's like it's all cheating with the keyframes. All right. And then we can do the same with the fins. So I will do this with both. So in frame 1, I will rotate them to the right. Then in frame 13, I will rotate them to the left. Then I will select all the bones of the fins. So you see they are all red. And I will go to frame 25 and I will copy the first keyframe here, copy and paste. And now I will create a cycle, a relative cycle. So now let's see how it works. So it's not working very well, so I will delay it a bit. So now we have that. Maybe this is too much. Okay, let's suppose something like that. Maybe I'm moving them too much. And now I will select only the second bone of each fin, and I will delay them a little bit more. So I will get a more fluid movement. Okay. Okay, this is not really, yeah, it is dancing now. It's not swimming anymore. That was the goal all this time. It's dancing. But I can fix that actually. So let's suppose I'm happy with this, but maybe these are rotating to the front too much. You see? So now to fix this, one way to fix it is I can select one of the bones. Okay, so let's suppose I want to fix this bone. And you can see here, I can see the keyframes, but actually there is another way to see the keyframes. And that way is using the motion graph. And here, if you go to the timeline at the top, we have 3 ways to see the animation. We have the channels, we have the sequencer, and we have the motion graph. We are going to use the motion graph here. So I will click this one. And now you can see this curve is actually the rotation of the fin. So if I double click on the channel here, I can see these are the same keyframes that I created, but they are represented on the graph. So the more they move to the higher they move, the more the fin will rotate, and the lower, the less, or it will start rotating to the other side. Okay, so this is like the graphic representation of that movement. All right. So one thing that is nice about the graph is that if this is rotating too much to the right, I can simply select these two keyframes and move both down, and I still have the animation, but now it's more subtle because I moved that. All right. And I can do the same for the other whale, for the other fin. So I just select this bone. All right. And now you can see the graph of that. So I can simply move this one down to reduce that movement. So now it should look more like swimming. Maybe it is still dancing, but it's something closer to swimming. Okay. And now finally, let's say I am very happy with this movement, all right? And I'm very happy with this swimming or dancing movement. And now I want to take the entire layer of the whale and I want to move it from one side of the screen to the other because I want it to swim across the screen. So I will go to frame 1. And now, since I want to move the entire layer, I don't want to move a bone. I want to move the entire layer. So I will go to the layer section here of the tools, and I will select the transform the transform layer tool. Okay, which is the same one we used at the beginning of the class. So I will use this one, and on frame 1, all right, here, I will just move this whale to the left. And let's say on frame 72, which is 3 seconds, I will move it to the right. All right. So now if I check this, I will just hit play here. You can see the whale is moving from left to right. Maybe this is too fast, so I can move this keyframe. Maybe, yeah, I think I like it more like that. So I have the whale going from one side of the screen to the other. All right, and now you have your animation, and let's say so the end of your animation is frame 120, which is actually 5 seconds. So here I can set 120 as the end of the animation. So I just go here and say 120 and press enter, and now your animation will last that. You can see here this bluish rectangle lasts until this frame. That means that is the end of the animation, right? So now, once I am done, let's say I am extremely happy with this. So I want to export this as a video. So I simply go to File, Export. No, sorry, File, Export Animation here. All right. Sorry, with the zoom, it's harder to read, but I just go to File, Export Animation. Okay. And with export animation, I can export it as a video or as a sequence of images or as an animated GIF. Okay. In this case, I will export it as a video. I will export it in my desktop. Okay. And here I can name it. So I will name it like that. I really love that name. And then I hit OK. And the software will start rendering the animation. So it's creating the video with the animation I created. All right. So once this is done, I will have a video that you can share online or wherever you want. So it's almost done. And there. So now we have the video of the whale. All right. Thank you very much. Please, again, if you have any question or any comment, or you are very angry with, or you don't like whales or whatever, please let me know in the comments. Now, there is something else that is very cool that we can add to this whale, and let me show you here. And this is a mesh because so far, thank you, Dominic. So far, we have been bending the whale, right? So we are using bones to bend the whale, but we can do something else, and I will show you here. So if I select the body layer here, okay, so this is the main body, the main layer of the body, and I am back on frame 0 here because I want to build something. This whale, Nico, sorry, yeah, I didn't explain that. This whale was created by Alfredo Cáceres, who is a Chilean illustrator. Is a great illustrator, and is my friend too. And we always work together. And actually, we animated this whale. Let me show you. I will show you his animation here. So you can follow him if you want. His Instagram is Redolaf. And oops, sorry. And we animated this whale. It has some more stuff here, but it's basically the same thing that I am showing you here. It's here. It's the same process. Of course, I show you a simpler version of the animation, but this is the whale. And we also animated some other characters. For instance, this one playing the instrument here, and it is the same principle. So and I love to animate his illustrations because I really love the sensibility he has. So yeah, you can follow him. I will send you his link just in case you are interested. He's a great illustrator. There you have it. So let me drink some water. So we are going to do something nice here. So I selected the whale layer here, right? The image here, which is the body. And I will go to draw, to the menu draw. Remember, I am on frame 0 because I'm building stuff. So I will go to draw, and here I will create a smart warp layer. All right. So with that, the software will create something like an envelope for this layer. All right. And I will assign the same bones. This is a new layer. You can see here, this is a vector layer that is the envelope of the whale. Okay. And I will assign the same bones of the whale to this envelope. So I will just select the bones here, go to bone, use selected bones for flexi binding because I want the envelope to move with the same bones. All right. So now with this envelope, what I can do, since I have selected a vector layer, now I can see the draw tools here because I can draw vectors. And I will use the add point tool, which is this one. And with the add point tool, I will add a couple more points, just dragging here. And the nice thing about this is that I can draw lines over the details that I want to animate. So let's suppose I will draw a line here. So I'm just adding details for the whale. And let's suppose I want to animate this part of the whale. Maybe I want to animate also the eye. So I will just draw something like a circle here. And I will add a couple lines here. All right, so let's suppose I'm happy with this amount of detail. All right, the nice thing about this is that if I go to any frame now different than 0, and if I move any of these points, it will distort the image. So for instance, if I select this entire line, I can make the eye bigger or smaller, for instance. All right, so I could, what I want to do here is I want to simulate a 3D rotation of the whale, okay? But what we are going to do is an extra thing. We are going to create a smart bone. Okay, it sounds kind of fancy, but it's a very simple process. What I'm going to do is first I will unselect all this bone. You can see no bone is red here because I don't want any. I want this new bone to have no parent, so it will be totally independent to the other bones. Okay, so you can see no bone is red here, and I will add a new bone. I am on frame 0 because I'm building stuff, and I will add a new bone here. Okay, and with the select bone tool, I have that bone selected, and here at the top you can see the name of the bone. It is called B12. Okay, that is the automatic name the software gives to it. uh, thank you for all the cheering here. It is called B12, but I will call it turn. Okay, so I press enter, and now here at the right I will tell it to show label. So now you can see this bone has the label turn there. We were dealing with dumb bones, exactly. No, like average bones, I guess. So now we have this turn bone, and it is selected. Okay, so it's red, and now we are going to the window here, to the window menu, and we are going to open the actions. Okay, and now we have this new window here, which is the action windows. And what we are going to do is we are going to create an action for that bone. Okay, so basically we are going to assign a specific movement for that bone. So let me show you how that works. So I have the bone selected, and I just go here to create a new action. So I would just press here, and now you can see I have this new window here, and the action name is turn. The action name is the same name that the bone has. So if the action and the bones, they share the same name, then they are connected. Okay, so I will just press OK here, and now you can see the timeline is blue, right? That means that we are like in a parallel timeline. We are inside of this action. Okay, this animation we will create here is different to the main animation we were doing before. So now I will go to second 4 here, around here. So I'm just moving this cursor to second 4, and I will tell the software, okay, every time this bone rotates down, I want the points of the whale. I will just select these points, and I actually will use the magnet tool. This is a cool tool. So I have several bones, several points selected. So you can see all these points of this line, they are selected. And with the magnet tool, I will tell it to move the selected points only. So I will check this one. Okay, these are the options of the magnet tool. So selected points only. And now I will drag these points down. I will make the magnet bigger. So I will drag everything down. So I want to simulate that the whale is rotating. I know this is not very fancy yet. Probably it won't be very fancy at the end, but anyway, it will work to show you what I want. So I will move this here, and now I will select the points of the eye here, and I will move the points of the eye also down. All right. So now if I check, I have this animation. So you can see the bone is rotating down, and the points are rotating down too. So maybe the eye should go even further down. So I have that, okay? And maybe since the head is rotating down, maybe I can go to the bone layer, and this fin will move down because it's rotating with the body, and this other fin will go up, because it's rotating that way. Okay, so now once I am happy with that movement, I can go to the main line. Okay, so which is where my main animation is. So I can double click here in the action windows. It says main line, so I double click here, and now I am back to my normal animation. And now I can even hide the mesh because I won't use it anymore. So this vector layer with the mesh, I will just hide it here. I will just click on the eye so it's not visible. And now what I can do is that if I have this animation now, every time I rotate down this bone, that will happen and that will create that animation. So maybe I can create a cycle for that. Maybe the whale will start normal, then again at frame 13, it will go down, and then at frame 25, I will copy and paste the first keyframe, and I will create a cycle for that, a relative cycle. So maybe I can just move this to happen a bit later, but now we have that 3D movement in our animation. Not very fancy at the moment, but you have the file there and you can create something nicer. All right. So this is how it works. So if I go back to the first character I showed to you, sorry, if I open this, but in the right software, let me just open it here. If I open this character, you can see this character actually has several actions there, and it has several bones. So all this rotation, all this movement of the mouth, the eyes, is basically, it's not exactly the same, but it's basically the same thing that we just did. Okay, so we just created this character. I created this too with, I mean, the illustration is was made by Oscar Chavez, another great illustrator, and I created the character, the rig, the skeleton. So basically, it's the same concept. Everything you saw on the whale is also working here. All right. Let me go back to the whale. So yeah, that's how it works. And you could add more bones to create more actions, or you can add more stuff, or you can, I don't know, you can duplicate the entire whale. So maybe I can move this copy here, maybe flip it. So now I can have two whales moving from the sides of the screen. So now I have two there. Yeah, and that is how it works. I don't know how much time we have. I don't know. Is there any organizer? Because I could show something else if you want.
You've
Uh,
got about 5 minutes.
5 minutes. So yeah, no, I can't show anything else. So, but yeah, I let me just ignore and decline all this. Sorry, I can't go to a like. I have invitations to, I don't know, to go to chats with other people, but I can't do that. So please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Again, I will send you again the link to the files, so you can download them and you can play with them. So if you download the demo of the software in mohoanimation.com, you can download those files and you can install the software and play with those. And so maybe you can reproduce what I did with the whale. So I think that's it. Do you have any questions? Is there anything you would like to see, or I don't know? Please let me know in the chat. Are there any reactions you can show now? Anything? No, I will drink water in the meantime. That's it. Thank you very much for all the reactions there. Well, thank you very much. I really hope you enjoy it. I really hope you. Oh yeah. Okay. So does this also work with plants? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love to animate plants. Actually, a big part of my job in different movies is actually to animate plants, because you know, when a character is walking in the jungle and it's touching the plants and they are moving, we have all this movement that really works with plants. Something that is very cool. Maybe I can show you this in the minute I have left. Let me try to do something very quick. So let's suppose I will try to be quick. I promise. I will just create one leaf here. All right, nothing very fancy, but let's suppose this is a leaf, and I can create a few bones there, and I can rotate this. Okay, I will do something similar to the whale, so it will do that rotation. But what I can do now is I can select all these other two bones, and I can go to this little window here, the bone constraints, and I can activate bone dynamics. And the bone dynamics here is automatic movement applied to the leaf. So you can see they are moving automatically, following whatever animation I created. So I can create like this. This is called like secondary animation, when something is following the previous movement. So I can modify these numbers here, and this will determine how much it will move, how much it will bounce. So you can also do that. So this could be also added to the animation of a fish or whatever. So if you want to have automatic animation and you don't want to, if you don't want to animate much, you can apply that tool. So that follows whatever animation I apply to the main bone. The rest of the bones are going to follow that. So if you are very lazy, as I am, you can use this to animate. We use this a lot in the movies, and no one notices it. I hope no one does, really. All right. Any other question, or if not, I think we are done here. No? All right. Thank you very much for joining. Yeah, I really hope you enjoy it, and yeah, I hope to see you again at some point. We can show you some other cool stuff, I guess.